Hello everybody, my name is Sammie and I'm with Kubota, and I just wanted to stop in and talk to you a little bit about our SVLs that we have. So they do come in a couple different sizes. We've got the 65, the 75 here to my right, and the 97 here to my left. There are a couple of really cool features that they came out with on the 75-3s that were just released this year. But we also have a very big size advantage and lifting capacity on our 97s. So I just wanted to touch base on a little bit of those and also the differences so that maybe you can figure out which one is going to do best for you and your job. So to my right is the 75-3. Again, they just released this this year. So this machine weighs about 10,000 pounds. So typically a lot of customers will go with this just because of the weight difference in itself. Another really good thing about this one is that this one does not require DEF. A lot of guys don't like the DEF. I understand. DEF has just a really bad name for itself. That being said, Kubota has not had near as many issues with the DEF system as like your vehicles and things like that. However, this one does still have your diesel particulate filter, so every 70 hours or so you're still going to have to regen. And like I said, we typically don't see very many issues with that unless you're just not letting it regen and do its job properly. So don't let that scare you away. But also, again, that's another reason why a lot of people will go with the 75 is because we don't have to run DEF fluid in it. This unit that I have right here is a standard flow. However, I do have several high flow in stock as well. This unit comes in both an open cab and a closed cab. We just happen to stand in front of the cab because we like the cab because the AC is so much better, especially out here in this West Texas heat. Also, on rainy days, you're not getting bullets to your face of raindrops. So that's lovely. The number one selling feature on the Kubotas is going to be the door here because it does slide up. If you do have a load and it dies, or your load, you can't drop your load low enough for you to open the door on our competitors that swing out, you don't ever have to worry about busting out the windshield if something happens to the machine, but also you can get in and out of the cab no matter what load you have on your unit. So, not only that, but Kubota has the biggest cab in the industry. So, you know, I'm a little person and I have a plethora of room. However, I do have, you know, some bigger customers, taller, and they fit in here just fine and really love how big and comfortable it is. So it just really helps with operator comfort, and we love that. We also love that Kubota does have more visual than our competitors do. So I can see outside this cab, I can see the edge of my tracks, I can see behind me really easily and really well. And if I can't, then I've got a backup camera to look behind me. But for the most part, I can see everything. So, Kubota has a horizontal lift. So as you're lifting, it's extending its boom out. So whenever you're at full height, you're out in front of yourself, not right on top of yourself with your load. It's a really big spider. I just want to kick it. I'm scared. I don't know where it went. I got him. Yeah, you did. I'm scared he's in there. So anywho, this one has a much wider track, but it's also a lot heavier. So you're going to be about 13,000 pounds on this one, so it does make it a little bit more difficult to haul. Again, same awesome door feature, right? And you also have a lockout feature on both of these, so you can lock them if you're going to run with your cab open. You can lock these in place, so that way it'll stay out of your way. Even if you get into those little bit rockier situations. So you can see, I mean, I feel like I have a little bit more room in the cab. Not a significant amount to make a big difference as far as the cab size goes. But, I mean, ultimately the fact is there that you're going to have a bigger cab in both of these than you would in any of our competitors. So I want to show you what that horizontal lift is going to look like. So you can see as I'm raising it, it's coming out in front of me. So I can fully see my load, and it's right out in front of me, not right on top of me. And then I have a side glass up here as well, so that I can see out and look and see what I'm doing as far as when I'm dumping my load and all of that good stuff. And you can see I'm not going to be worrying about it coming right back on top of me, especially with the cab, because I'm going to have the door closed. But even with, you know, an open cab, obviously if the wind's blowing, you're going to have a little bit more trouble. But I'm not worried about all of it dumping almost right on top of me. So that's a really good feature that Kubota has. Also, Kubota skid steers are electrical over hydraulic. So my response time is significantly faster than our competitors that are electrical over electrical or hydraulic over hydraulic. So we love that feature, that fact of it. You do have a backup camera on the 97s as well. It is just placed up here where the 75 is on the screen. And so that's a little bit of a difference too. The 75s, they did digitalize everything here. This is more old school, if you will. But everything else is pretty much the same. I have my hydraulic quick attach on both. And that's another really good thing too, is that on our machines, you can see the hydraulic quick attach a lot easier than our competitors as well. So I'm very clear as far as when I'm attached to my implement and when I'm not attached to my implement. So that helps out a lot as well. The 75s, we typically do a 74-inch smooth edge or tooth bucket. Out here, everybody pretty much prefers smooth. We carry both. And then on the 97s, we do an 80-inch bucket. But again, we can switch and choose out as you want. The 80 and the 74s, if you keep that size bucket with those units, if you have a full bucket, it's going to be able to handle it. But if I put an 80-inch on the 75, it's not going to handle it as well. So let's come over here to the back side and talk a little bit about serviceability, which is huge. And I don't think people realize how big it is as far as getting to all of those parts and wearable items. Just because, the easier and quicker it is to get to something, the less downtime that you're going to have, and the quicker my shop can work on it, and the less time you're going to have in labor. So they did do a little bit of upgrades to the 75 where you can see they moved the radiator up top, and they pushed all of the engine components out to the back of the engine, which we really like. And then they added the fuel tank out to the back of the door so that when this is full, you do have more counterweight. But everything is super easy to get to. You can't get to it from the back. You can lift that cab up and get to it from the front, from the inside. Taking away time of having to completely remove the engine to get to your DEF filter. That saves a huge amount of time in itself. So we love that fact about those. Like I said, everything is really easy to get to, user-friendly, whether you're mechanically inclined or declined, it'll be okay. We got you. And then on the 97s over here, there's 3 bolts here, right? 1, 2, and 3 over here. So you just unbolt those, pull this out. All of your filters, all of your dipsticks, your battery, everything is really easy to get to once you just pull that out. So not as easily accessible, but still really easily accessible, especially when you're comparing it to our competitors. As far as the tracks go, they are sealed bearings. So when and if the time comes and you need to adjust your tracks, all you do is you take this cover off right here, and you can either fill it with more grease to tighten it up, or you can let some of that grease out to loosen up the tracks, so that the track care is really easily manageable. You got your fuel tank right here on the 97 that is locked, so you don't have to necessarily worry about that. Your DEF cover is also going to be locked. Honestly, the biggest problems we see with these is your hands putting gas in the diesel tank. So you don't do that, you'll be fine, As far as the hydraulic pressure goes, on the 75-3 out to my right, this is a standard flow unit. So at standard flow, you're at 17 gallons per minute. With the high flow, you're at 29 gallons per minute. And then you come over to my 97, and you can see that this one is already high flow. Again, these come in standard flow as well, and open cab as well if you wanted to go that route. Standard flow on these units is 23 gallons per minute, and then when you go up to the high flow, you get 40 gallons per minute. So as far as lifting capacity goes, you do see a significant difference between the two as well. They do rate, Kubota specs theirs out at 35% tipping load. So when you're comparing ours to the competitors, make sure that they are at that same percent tipping load when you're comparing that lifting capacity, because sometimes they will trick you there. You know, they'll rate it at 50% so that it looks like you're picking up more than ours, but it's just rated different. So at 35% tipping load on the 75-3, you are at 2,300. And then our tipping load on the 97-2 at 35% is 3,200. So you do see a big difference there. And then if we're just comparing full tipping load, this one's at about 9,100 tipping load, where your 75-3 is going to be about 6,500 tipping load. So again, depending on how sketchy you want to get, you're going to be able to do a lot more with the 97. But there are pros and cons to each one. It's just up to you on which one's going to best suit your needs. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to give us a call. I'd love to answer your questions. And if I don't have the answers, I'd love to go and find them out for you. So give us a call here at Kubota. Let us send you some numbers. Right now, I do want to mention that they are 0% for 36 months. And then you can go a little bit longer if you want and not get anything over 3% interest. So financing rates are still really good. They do have some cash incentives. So like I said, give me a call. Let us figure that number out for you, get you some deals going. And we'd just love to hear from you.